without further ado, let's head over and get ready to go for qualifying. So here we are then at the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli.
Yes, absolutely. A great example of just the quality of the graphics that we have here in the 2018 game. Some excellent shots from all over the world. This will be Kota.
Yep, absolutely. Looking at the Red Bull Ring in Austria as well, a fantastic circuit, one of course that's always full of drama. Likewise, the Saxonry as well, that unpredictable climate. Qatar, the only night race we have on the calendar, kicking off the 2018 season. The riders, though, heading out of pit lane. It's a 10-minute qualifying session. At the end of those 10 minutes, of course, we'll decide and we'll know who is going to be lining up where on the grid. We should state that the riders have chosen the bikes that they were on. They chose that yesterday afternoon, so you can see them all heading out of pit lane and getting ready to go onto the circuit for the first time. Now, a couple of things to mention here as well as they go out onto the track. Of course, dry weather conditions, as you can see. If they do come off their bike at any time, they'll be reset. Of course, that lap will be invalidated. They'll have to go around and do that again. And with only a 10-minute timer here, Matt, on the clock, it really does mean that the pressure is on. Yeah, a very short time limit and about a 1:25, 26-second lap or so. They really cannot afford to crash too many times on this one. No, certainly can't. Well, we're riding on board then. This is the reigning world champion, Trastevere 73. He chose the factory Ducati, a bike that's been working quite well for him so far. In the free practice session we had yesterday, the free practice sessions we've had so far today, it's been very tight in terms of the times, but Trastevere has pretty much dominated all of them. He was fastest earlier on this afternoon in the sessions.
Yeah, and I tell you what, actually see some mind games yesterday in the bike choice. A few guys, they really wanted certain machines. I saw someone really wanted that Avintia Ducati, but no, someone else got it before him. He finished quicker than he did in the free practice sessions. So you see mind games out on the track. We've seen plenty, especially in that press conference on Thursday. And it's no different here in Motogp eSports.
Absolutely. One thing to mention as well is that all of these guys, great sportsmanship between them. We saw a lot of the gamers going around, shaking each other's hands before we went live earlier on this afternoon. We're just looking at the riders coming over the timing line and setting their first representative lap times. That's Andrew ZH on the Repsol Honda. He's in front. On the Aprilia, you can see just behind as well. That is the number 48. That's Luigi 48 GP, a rider who will be familiar to you if you are a fan of the MotoGP eSport Championship in 2017. Italian rider, Italian motorcycle, and Italian circuit. Seems like a bit of a match made in heaven.
We have a crash in the background there, Tom. That was, it's Trastevere.
That's the reigning champion. Yeah, he's gone down, so in the opening sector, it's a very tight and twisty first sector here at Misano, Matt, as well. Very easy to tuck the front. One thing as well that we should mention on this MotoGP 18 video game is that, as we've got another crash as well, that's Mandzukic down again, or Christian MM17 as he's known this year. He's just tucked the front once
Tom,
more.
That was so last year.
Absolutely, but back up to date with this year. But as we were saying, yeah, the MotoGP 18 video game really is incredibly realistic. The physics have taken a brilliant step forward, and the riders are saying, you really don't know when you're going to tuck the front. It's very much more like riding a real motorcycle.
No, you really don't. And on this huge screen we've got in front of us, you can really see the effect that the bumps have on this circuit as well, just like that out on the real one, just a couple of 100 meters to our right. It is really, really tricky, just as in the game as it can be out in real life as well. And Tom, I can't help but notice as well, I love the customization that they have on these bikes. With the game, you really can customize pretty much everything. Your helmet, your number, your boots. Pink, bit of an outward choice there, but I dig it.
It seems to be working for Juan NH16, though. He's gone for the top of the timesheets, the first rider to set a representative lap time. But the Repsol Honda of Andrew ZH has gone immediately faster as well. Lap times coming in pretty thick and fast now. Just to mention, the tower graphic on the left-hand side of your screen as well, where you can see the red triangles under their names. That means that lap time has been disallowed for one reason or another. That could be due to a crash, or it could be due to them exceeding track limits. And speaking of having a crash as well, Eligos 555, a new name for this year. He's had a slight crash on his first flying lap there, so a bit of a shame for him, but let's see if he's going to be able to try and turn things around in the last 5 minutes of this session.
Yeah, 6 or so minutes to go at the moment. I tell you what, not seen a fluorescent yellow on a Repsol Honda like that for some years. Oh, Trastevere has gone down again. Whereabouts is that down? Did it say turn 3? I think it is. He'll be restarting shortly. He can't. We said this at the beginning of the session, Tom. We cannot afford for these guys to have too many crashes because it's just one more invalidated lap. 1 minute 20 odd to get round. 1 minute 26, one of the fastest laps so far 5 minutes left. Hey, that's, what, 3 laps left you can get?
Absolutely, yeah, maximum really. They're going to be really harrying these bikes around, trying to set those fastest lap times and trying not to push themselves too far past the limit here as well. Looking at the Alma Pramac Ducati, this is Ivan Evea. He's down in 11th position here so far, a name again that was in the final in Valencia last year. He's set fastest times in the first sector, fastest time in the second sector, personal best in that third sector, and as he comes out of the final corner here and over the timing line, what is he going to be able to do in terms of lap times, Ivan Evea? Well, he does improve and he goes up to the outside of the front row in third position.
Hey Tom, keep your eye on Christian MM17 coming out the final corner as well. He's going on to the into the final sector, and he's the one who goes top now on the Angel Nieto team Ducati. That is a really quick time, 1:26.260. But look at these guys, they're all putting personal best sectors in now. It's well, it's all coming down to crunch time really. Squeaky bum time, as Sir Alex Ferguson would say.
Absolutely right, and you can see on that
tower.
And
he's gone down. That's Christian MM17, but he's straight up and back going, of course, because it's in the video game. And he's got, that's his invalidated lap though. First sector, he's got to go all the way round, back to start and finish straight again. Not good news for Otto Ferrossi either.
Yep, same crash for him as well. You can see on that tower graphic as well, it does give you the gaps between the different rides. It gives the sector times and also gives the lap time after they have set it. You can see Christian MM17, the fastest man in this session. He is 0.05 of a second faster than Andrew ZH at the moment. Here is Ivan Evea then, knocked off the front row, heading the second row of the grid at the moment on board this Alma Pramac Ducati through those decreasing radius right-handers, looking pretty handy here as well.
Yeah, and just look at that on your timing screens. How many invalidated lap times are these guys on at the moment? It's really not looking good. It's clearly feeling a bit of the pressure. This is their first time turning a wheel in anger on the esports game, so to speak, here in Misano. But, well, got a couple of minutes left now. How much can these guys deal with the pressure? Some more personal best sectors coming in. Trastevere is on some red sectors as well. That's looking pretty impressive from him. He goes top now. Brilliant
stuff from the reigning champion then. He is to the top of the timing sheets with just over 3.5 minutes remaining of this session. Trastevere 73 hits the front. Ellie goes 5.55 as well on a personal best. What's he going to be able to do? Improves in time but not position. Riding on board with the reigning champion, harrying that Ducati GP18 through the first sector. Christian MM17 second on the grid. He's gone down again though.
And I tell you what, I know it just looks kind of spectacular. I mean, you got that change of direction there, the front wheel comes in the air, but that's what the riders were talking about in that VT before this. It's a very realistic game. You can lose the front there if you get a bit too throttle happy on the changeover of direction there.
Certainly can do. It really can put pain. More invalidated lap times coming in. Luigi 48 GP at the moment. He is having an absolute shocker, Matt, down in 7th position. On the third row of the grid is where he'll line up if it finishes as it is, and he's got another invalidated lap time. He's going to have to pull out all the stops here with just a maximum of 2 flying laps in.
Ivan Evela's also had a crash. He just that was pulled up and down at turn 11. I think that was the very, very fast right-hander. Saw Moto3 bikes going through there today, completely full throttle max lead. Absolutely awesome that was. Got the final turn here.
Fastest final sector for Andrew ZH on the Repsol Honda. Over the line he goes, and he goes to the top of the timesheets by 1.6 of a second. So it's the Repsol Honda on pole position. What can Trastevere 73 do though? Can he spoil the party of Honda? He can as he comes over the line, but he can't because he loses a bit of time in that final sector, and it's just 0.03 of a second separating those top 2 now.
Yeah, but I must say this does look as though if the form is anything like this in the race, could it be a 2-horse race? Have we got a Moto3 style battle between Martin and Bezzecchi? Is it going to be like Oliveira and Bagnaia? 2 guys going at it, hammer and tong, although 2/10 a lap. Well, we'll have to see, but we've got 2 more crashes there. That was Suomi who just went down. Where did he go down? Was that in the first sector as well?
Could have been, yep. It's a very popular place to go down for Suomi there. So disappointment for him. He's down in 9th position so far, the only Briton on the grid here this weekend. I was chatting to him before we got underway this afternoon, asking him exactly how he felt. He said he was pretty calm, pretty confident, but still a few nerves jangling there. And the last thing you want to do is make a Horlicks if you're qualifying, because you're certainly going to be knowing about it come race time later on this evening. We're on board with the Suzuki. That's Adrian 26 going through the ever-decreasing radius. Right-handers fully banked over. Absolute commitment from the Suzuki rider then. And what is he going to be able to do at the moment in this stage of the session? It's not much because he's dropped time in that second sector. He's dropped time in that third sector. He's just going to have 1 more flying lap here, Matt.
Yeah, and they got to watch that turn 15 as well. Plenty of riders in that final sector. It's causing a lot of problems for riders out in free practice today. Saw a fair few crashes down there. Can we see any more in this particular session? 1 minute to go.
Luigi 48 GP improves. He's up to 7th position on the Red Bull KTM, and a crash as well. That's one NH16 that has gone down. So Juan, he's not number 1 at the moment. He's going to have...
Oh, God, Neil made that joke earlier. It's even worse now.
Well, there you go. And he's going to have some serious work to do to pull himself out of the deficit. And in fact, he won't have any time to do that because, of course, the clock is counting down. That was his final flying lap. So he's going to be starting from the very, very back of the grid here for Juan. That's big disappointment. Even Avea's gone down on his final lap as well. 6th position will be the best of asking then for Ivan. Out of the final corner comes Iotti for Rossi. Italian on Italian bike.
Yeah.
Over the line. What's he going to be able to do? Nothing really, unfortunately. Stays 11th fastest.
Hey, Tom, these guys, they're all going to... You've got 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe guys there who are all on invalid laps, including the reigning champion, and there's no way they're making it round in 5 seconds. This could be over, Tom.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be deciding the grid, as you say there, Matt. We're looking at Luigi 48GP. He's one of only 4 riders who hasn't invalidated their lap time so far, but he's gone down. Oh, Luigi 48GP on what could have potentially been a bit of a spoil to the party, throws it all the way in that 3rd and final sector of the lap, and he will start at best 7th position as the checkered flag is now out. Let's have a look at a replay here, Matt. Talk us through.
Just completely lost the front end, looked a little bit wide on entry, too much front brake, tuck the front, and good night. You are starting from a little bit down the order for the race.
Yep, comes out of the line, out of the final corner and over the line. Big wheelie there for Trastevere. Tell you what, Iotti for Rossi, actually, personal best lap time. He got over the line just before that checkered flag came out here, Matt. We ride on board with the Aprilia rider, and he is looking very handy here. He's improving in time on a personal best. Will it bump him a little bit further up the order than second to last on the grid? Through that final sector, that Aprilia RSGP, a little bit wide through the right-hander. Could that be his undoing here?
Well, we should know he made it safely through there. Did he take too much curb there?
He has. He's invalidated the lap.
Oh, no. What a disaster. Well, Arnie's taken a little bit too much curb on the final corner as well, but a solid wheelie over the line. Could do with a little bit of improvement there, but what a session that was. These guys are feeling the pressure, Tom. Let's get a look at the results.
Absolutely, very exciting. So final confirmation then. Andrew ZH on the Repsol Honda is on pole position. Trastevere 73, Christian MM 17 completes your front row. Row 2 headed by El Ghost 555, Adrian 26 in Luigi 48 GP. Alongside him, Ivan Avea, Timothy McGarden, Suomi on row 3. And the final row of the grid, Paul IG, Iotti for Rossi. And as we saw there at the back of the grid as well, the final rider making it up, that's Juan NH16. So that is the grid. That is how it will sit ahead of semi-final 1 here this evening, Matt.
Yes, what a session that was. And some pretty elaborate times there, all in those 126s. But how will they manage to close in on those 10s throughout the race? And clearly pressure getting to a lot of people. This could be a bit of a crash fest, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Those first couple of sectors are going to be very, very important here, Matt, this evening. So let's see what we're going to be able to do. A bit of a slug of water there for Trastevere 73 as he just gets himself ready to go. We're going to be having a look at some highlights from this session here, Matt, as well, trying to find out the best bits and see what has happened over the course of that 10-minute qualifier.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot did happen. Obviously, the riders all left the track and straight for an out lap. Only a 10-minute session, but so many invalidated laps so early on. In this first sector, you've got to be very, very cautious around there, especially on an out lap. The tyres could be quite cool, easy to let go. And also, well, talk about feeling the pressure, how sweaty your hands getting throughout this sort of thing. We saw someone last year, can't exactly remember who it was, wearing gloves to combat some anti-sweat. There's Trastevere, the reigning champion there on the Ducati, although that was Christian MM17 coming very, very close behind him. He has really got that turn 10 dialed in. Here we are coming into the final corner, and that Aprilia, Iotti for Rossi there coming across the finish line to start those the first flying lap or so. It is a long lap round here in Misano, 1:26 seconds, 1 minute 26, and we're only 10 minutes. Well, a bit of stuff there, and we can see I could do with some of that tape on my nose as well to keep my glasses from slipping down in this sort of heat. And we saw a big crash there from Christian MM17. That was one of his invalidated laps. Pretty much the story of qualifying these invalidated laps. Exceeding track limits, crashing, feeling the pressure. These guys, they can cut a little bit more curb than their on-track co-workers, you might say, as they're not going to lose so much grip. Look at those concentrated faces. Trastevere thundering down the back straight on that high horsepower Ducati. At this point, we're down at 3 minutes to go. It looked as though he was going to get pole at this particular time. Very, very treacherous turn 8. And don't forget as well, just like on the real bikes as well, that left-hander, it's a long time between that and the final left-handers we have in the final sector. Just before the finish line, easy to let the front end go. And here we are, we're going to be crossing the finish line, and that was qualifying. So we're going to be ready to race pretty soon, Tom and Amy.
We are indeed. But first things first, we've got to deliver our poleman his award. So please join me here on the stage, our poleman here in Misano, Andrew ZH. And let's give him a round of applause. That was a brilliant effort. Andrew, this weekend we're keeping things as close as possible to a normal MotoGP weekend. So for your reference there in qualifying, we have our lovely lady here to hand you your Tissot T-Race MotoGP 2018 Special Edition watch. Congratulations.